My name is Melissa Kaufmann. I am an inclusion teacher in Peoria. For purposes of this project, I will continue to refer to my school district as District P. The title of my project is Role Confusions in the Inclusive Classroom. I had the opportunity to do some research for my master's capstone in this area and wanted to continue with it. Over the past 5 years, I have been in 3 different school districts with 3 different roles as a special ed teacher. Prior to working as a special ed teacher, I was a general education teacher, and I had a friend who said, you should check into getting into special ed, and I'm really glad that she did. But over the course of the last 5 years, I have played the role anywhere from glorified teacher's assistant to babysitter to full inclusion, full co-teaching. And over the course of that time, and as well as with the survey that I did for my master's capstone, I've come to the conclusion that many special ed teachers, or teachers in general in co-teaching partnerships, have feelings of unpreparedness. They're confused about what role they should play, or their co-teaching partner should play in the classroom. Who has what responsibilities, grading, lead teaching, any other classroom responsibilities, discipline and such. And there's not been much information from teacher views, even in the research that I've done. It has been mostly from psychologists or social workers or authors on what should be happening in the classroom. So the purpose of my project is to explore the individual roles in today's co-taught inclusive classrooms. I wanted to take a look at inclusion and co-teaching practices currently in effect in my district, and I wanted to examine teacher perceptions, both special and general educators, of their own co-teaching roles as well as their partners' roles within the inclusion practices. What led me here, through my research, I have found gaps in the area of what co-teaching and inclusion should look like. There is a plethora of information on what it should look like, and I did not come across so much research on what good co-teaching and inclusion looks like based on models that are already in effect. And there's a lack of appropriate professional development for inclusion teams. I myself did not go through any co-teaching training. I did my special ed endorsement on my K-8 undergrad degree, and so I didn't do co-teaching. I didn't do many classes. I did it through University of Phoenix, so it was all online. I know. Not a really brilliant idea when it comes to special education, but I have learned a lot over the past 5 years and have looked back on it and thought how much better the education for my students would have been had I been provided appropriate professional development. And so there is a lack of teacher perceptions and understanding even today of specific roles in the classroom. My methodology, I looked at all inclusion teams within my school district, District P. The criteria was that they must be currently, at the time of the survey, must be currently co-teaching. Anybody who was not currently co-teaching, even if they had co-teaching in their past, were excluded. It was a survey study, like I said, created through Select Survey. I emailed an invite and a reminder. There were demographic questions that you'll see just a little bit of here in a minute. Demographic questions that were the same for all teachers. The final question within demographics was whether or not the teacher is a general educator or a special educator, and that led to a different survey, which led to the same questions but worded differently, obviously, in relation to the type of co-teaching partner they have. So demographic questions included things like age group, highest degree, how many years they've been teaching, how many years been co-teaching, and there were several others, but this is just to give you a little bit of an idea. Then there were some identification questions of who's responsible for what within the classroom, classroom responsibilities, learning of students, discipline, that kind of stuff. So whether or not the individual perceived that the general educator, special educator, both or neither individuals were responsible for the specific responsibilities. This led into then a rating of disagreement to agreement, strongly disagree to strongly agree, excuse me, as to how each individual rated each of the statements relating to their relationship with their co-teaching partner. And then at the end, there were 3 open-ended response questions. Basically, the biggest success, the biggest challenge, and what, if anything, the individual could make their co-teaching partner understand about their role within the classroom. Where I would like to go from here, I would love to create a co-teaching manual. I have not seen one in my district, or even in the school that I co-teach in. And then using that manual to provide professional development, being 3 different professional development opportunities. There would be 2 for each type of teacher, general educator, special educator. The first 2 would be separate. First one would be a special educator only professional development on roles, responsibilities, what to expect from co-teaching partners. The second one would be then just a general educator only for the same purposes. And then the third one would bring everybody together to kind of see the models in action and to practice models in action with the actual co-teaching partners, and then providing opportunity for follow-up observation from myself, the individual providing the professional development, and then providing feedback through an observation conference. So the desired outcomes that I would like to see come out of this are the following: more clarity on co-teaching roles and responsibilities from both sides, less bullying, so to speak, from one side or the other. Oftentimes we find that the general educator sees the classroom as their own and doesn't want to share, or the special educator goes in knowing what's best for their student and doesn't want to be flexible and talk things through, or any of the terrible situations that we do see within the inclusion classroom. All around would like to see less bullying from one side or the other. Co-teaching practices that flow for the greatest benefit of the students, because ultimately the students are what it's all about. A guide to reference through that manual provided at the professional developments, and ultimately some great relationships prior to placing teachers in the classroom.